and it's getting to where it's stacked against it. They're going to go the way of Blockbuster and Hollywood Video and places like that. More and more is going digitally, and less is going to be able to fall into their laps. uh,
Yeah.
and it's just the way of the marketplace.
Yeah, it's I mean, I thought they were going to do something because they've been doing this whole business of having like more merchandise and stuff in their stores. That's mostly what I end up buying in GameStops lately is, collectible things they have up in the stores more so than games.
Yeah,
Um,
they're becoming more like vintage stock or something than like a
yeah,
gaming store, because you're buying bobbleheads and uh, pop caps and
yeah,
other things like that. You're not buying the next Halo or your new Nintendo Switch or anything from them. You're buying uh, other stuff.
yeah. Kotaku's article continues. It says the launch and accompanying praise comes just 4 days after the latest round of layoffs at GameStop's corporate offices. Roughly 160 staff were cut. This is like corporate offices, not even just at the stores. According to one current and one former employee, 3 employees at the gaming magazine Game Informer, which is owned by GameStop, and keep in mind, the Game Informer magazine is a much smaller staff. So 3 people cut from there is a substantial percentage of their staff, which within the last year already had back in May had half of their staff laid off anyway at Game Informer. Or over the last year they had half of their staff cut, and now they've had another 3 staff cut at Game Informer. They had anyway. Employees at GameStop stores are also feeling the pain as they try to keep things running while being short-staffed and underpaid. Meanwhile, GameStop earned a $1 billion windfall last year on a sell-off of its inflated meme stock, and its revolving door of executives have continued to garner millions in total compensation.
Yeah, but those could just be the last little money grabs for the higher ups before they end up closing their doors completely. And that's what I'm thinking it is. It's the executive cash grab before they bail out,
Yeah.
because the employees are getting laid off and lower shifts and all these kind of things left and right. I don't know. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about all there is to this article. It hit just before. This news just broke the other day, and also just the other day it was announced that this upcoming Friday is when pre-orders are happening for God of War Ragnarok. And normally for like physical package games, the collector's edition that I want to get, I would normally go to GameStop for that kind of thing. But I don't trust GameStop to have anything in stock this November. So, hell, I don't even know if the store is going to be open by November. The way
Yeah,
things are going.
right. If they
And
are,
so,
they're going to be discounting everything must go because they're closing their doors.
yeah,
Might be a good
I
place to go get some movie posters and stuff, but or gaming standees.
yeah, it is not a good look. So, yeah, I can't trust them for my pre-orders right now, and also I can't trust them for my subscription stuff because I got a subscription to their little the pro rewards thing or whatever. But I think I might need to go up there and turn in all of my rewards points before the end of the month.
You're just batting 1,000, man. Everything you subscribe through keeps closing, and you have to go look for new subscription areas. Your comic books close. You have to go find a new place to get your comics. You know, you get your video. You're just not. You're batting like zero, man.
Well, I mean, the comic book store thing has been tough around here. Most of the comic book stores are going out of business around here.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you got that right. I forgot to open my chat pop up.
We got Comic Force though on South Campbell.
Yeah,
They're pretty cool.
I have to make sure.
They've been in Branson for a while, and then they opened up the Springfield store. I don't know, 7 months ago or so, right around the start of the year, right about the same time Nameless City closed.
Yeah. So right at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Nameless closed right around Christmas and New Year's.
They closed New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve was the last day for Nameless.
Yeah, and then Comic Force opened, I think, within a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah. Well, at least it's something. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. I actually just rearranged mine slightly because I want to talk next about San Diego Comic-Con, which is, they're having a Comic-Con again this year, finally. They haven't really had a San Diego Comic-Con since 2019 because of COVID. They are having it, and there's a couple of big things that are going on. First off, Auditorium or Hall H, as everybody knows, is the big IGN theater. It's the big room where they do a lot of their big shows. And there's a couple of things that I can tell you right now that we already know are coming to that. First off, Marvel is going to be doing their big Hall H presentation on Saturday of Comic-Con. But they've only slotted an hour. In previous times when they've done a Hall H presentation, they've had 2 hours. So they're going to have to try to fit stuff in on a much smaller window, and they've got so much to. But what's believed is they're going to keep it kind of light at Comic-Con and save some of their stuff up for D23. But I did just hear today that they believe that the focus for that hour, instead of trying to spread it across a bunch, and of course this is rumor, and it's not substantiated completely, but the focus is probably going to be on Wakanda Forever. Is going to be the big push at Comic-Con this year. They're not bringing everything. They're going to focus a lot on Wakanda Forever, so give the most of that hour. Kevin Feige is going to be there, of course, and they usually bring a bunch of their cast members from the cinematic universe when they do a presentation in Hall H. But I think the biggest push is going to be Wakanda Forever, which is going to include things like Ironheart as part of it, and the new Namor, and possibly get the drop of the Wakanda Forever full trailer we've been waiting on, is what's anticipated. Now that's on the Marvel side of things. DC has not confirmed everything that they're doing for Comic-Con, but they're not big. They have basically already stated that they are not doing anything for Superman and Lois, The Flash, or Stargirl. None of that is going to Comic-Con this year. Now, part of that is, obviously because they're pushing the season 9 of Flash and season 3 of Superman and Lois till mid-season starts this next time. Instead of, they're not starting up in October, they're going to start at the beginning of the year in the next season, because the only thing starting earlier than that is going to be Stargirl, which is going to start on August 31st. In fact, the thing I saw was actually even recorded before the newest trailer for Stargirl dropped just 2 days ago. That trailer is out, though, so you should check it out.
Which trailer?
Stargirl Season 3.
Oh.
Yes, definitely check that out. But, so they're not going to... But there is going to be at least one DC Hall H panel for DC TV. And I do know that it is going to be focused on Neil Gaiman's Sandman series that's coming out for HBO Max. And the other one that's potentially going to come out from DC TV is going to be Harley Quinn Season 3, the animated.
I thought the Sandman was on Netflix.
It might be Netflix. Yeah, Harley Quinn's the HBO Max one. Sandman is Netflix. Sandman is Netflix, and Harley Quinn is HBO Max. But they're both from DC TV, and I know that the Hall H is specifically going to be a Sandman Expo. So we're going to get possibly Neil Gaiman will be there. But either way, they're going to focus in on that. They have not announced if they're going to bring any of their movie properties in Comic-Con. I mean, there's still a lot of people that aren't going to attend because it's so close after COVID. It's the first one really going on after COVID. There's a lot of our international people that normally come out to Comic-Con that aren't going to make it this year because of the international travel and everything. And it's going to be a lighter con. However, they also think in DC, the rumor mill has it that what they're going to do is reserve a lot of the stuff they normally would release at Comic-Con for fandom this year. The next fandom that will be coming out soon. And there's even hopes to possibly turn fandom into a live event and not just the virtual event that it has been in the past. Because I could see people traveling to a live fandom event for DC Warner Brothers. And it would give them another kind of more physical convention that's dedicated to their stuff. Kind of how D23 is dedicated to Disney, Marvel, and everything. So that's something. So got to kind of keep our eyes out for things going on with Comic-Con and the upcoming movies and TV shows that normally do their big reveal at Comic-Con when it happens, because it's the biggest convention in the United States. I've been to Comic-Con before, but then I'm a native Californian, and it was a little bit easier for me to get there. And I haven't been since I moved out of California. But Comic-Con is an amazing show. I haven't been to Gen Con, which is the big D&D and role-playing convention that I've wanted to go to my entire life. But that's in Indianapolis, but it's not as big as Comic-Con. Comic-Con is huge. It is by far the biggest thing out there in the United States. And so it is good to see it back. I'm worried about having quite that many people in one place so soon into the COVID thing. But let's hope that they take worthwhile precautions and people are careful. But I wanted to give an update on that because it's such a big part. And Comic-Con is in July, so we're in the month of Comic-Con. Comic-Con is like a week or so away. I'm not sure what the dates are this year. I did not look that up before the show. I'm completely thrown off of my schedule this week because we did not have CW shows to watch, which is usually my rewatch of them is how I start my Mondays and Tuesday of the week in order to get ready for the show. Without that, I'm a little bit out of sorts. And so I apologize for not being as prepared as I normally would be. But yeah, I wanted to touch on stuff, especially those Hall H announcements, because that's the big thing in Comic-Con. The IGN auditorium, Hall H, is where the big reveals usually happen at Comic-Con. That's where they do the great big screenings and where they usually do the reveal of the really hot property that's coming out in the next year. If they do a Comic-Con reveal, it's usually Hall H is where they do it because it's got the big amphitheater with the big IGN screen, sponsored by IGN Networks, of course. That's really all I've got to talk about for Comic-Con. I don't know if you have anything to add to Comic-Con.
I don't, because I forgot that it was coming up as soon as it is. And so I haven't seen much on it.
It's been underplayed this year, partly because of the fact that, with COVID and everything.
Yeah.
It is nice to hear that it is back, but a little concerning because they get such a population of people.
Yeah.
They're not going to be as heavily attended as they have been in the past. And I hope that doesn't negatively reflect on the viability of the con as a whole. I hope people take into account that fact, and they don't try to like cancel the con as a failure after that, and realize that it's going to take a little while before everything gets back up to running like it used to pre-pandemic. Because basically the pandemic knocked a lot of conventions completely out of the water. Part of the reason we're kind of calling it quits on game ourselves is because we had 2 years down. And it just killed us, and our sales were down right before that too. So it wasn't just the pandemic, but the pandemic had a hard effect on us. We missed 2 years of game, and I don't want to see it happen to conventions like Gen Con and Comic Con and Origins and things like that. But we do have some new cons that are getting more and more traction lately, like D23, that will hopefully keep things going, because the convention community in not just the United States but around the world is big for our nerdy brethren and sisterin out there. There's a lot of people that come from overseas just to come to like Comic Con and Gen Con and Origins and Dragon Con, or D23 and Gary Con, the one that salutes Gary Gygax, or Blizzard Con, just the World of Warcraft convention. Basically, it's for all of Blizzard's properties, but it's really, a lot of people just nickname it the World of Warcraft convention because Blizzard is really focused on WoW. But BlizzCon and stuff, and these kind of conventions are just a mainstay. Like me and Lurch, we got together because of conventions. Yeah. And we love going to conventions. In fact, my main job for the past several years through game was to go to other conventions and promote game. So I got to go to other conventions as part of my job. Well, it's such a hard life. I know. I'm so put upon. It's so hard to be me. No, that was great. Anyway, so keep your eyes out. And if you do get a chance to look at any footage from San Diego Comic-Con, drop us a line. Let us know what you thought of it. And maybe we'll do more talk about Comic-Con after it happens. Maybe I'll get some footage and share it in one of our shows post the convention. But I would definitely like to see what they actually end up doing for full reveals, especially that Sandman panel. I am so wanting to see what comes out in the Sandman panel, because I'm chomping at the bit. Sandman. Oh, I'm a Neil Gaiman nerd. I love Neil Gaiman, so I really want to see Sandman succeed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on then to our next thing, which is, of course, Lurch's next topic. Prime Day gaming and tech deals. Prime Day, of course, started, was it yesterday? Today. Today. It started today. Today's the 12th.
So this one's a very topical one. It's only for July 12th and 13th.
Yeah, today and tomorrow.
Today and tomorrow. So if you're watching live or right after it gets uploaded, you may be able to get in and buy some stuff at these good deals. I just kind of wanted to skim through a little bit. GameSpot.com did a pretty good job at putting together a list of a lot of different games or different items in different categories that gamers would enjoy. So I thought I just kind of want to hit a few highlights here. Like DualSense controllers, which normally run for $70, $75, going for $60. MetaQuest 2, the new name for Oculus Quest 2. If you buy one right now, you get a $25 Amazon gift card with the purchase. The DualSense charging station is $20 now instead of $30. Let's go through here. We've got a headset that's $20 off. There's this Razer Death Adder V2 mouse that's normally $70, going for $28.49. The Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which is the Mario Kart game with the actual remote control car that you're steering while you're playing the game. That normally goes for $100. It's only $50 at the moment.
50% off. Nice.
Yeah. Apple TV 4K 32 gigabytes, normally 180, now 109.
Mm, that's about 40% off. Yeah.
Yeah. The Hori Split Pad Pro, Pokemon Legends Arceus. I have a Mega Man version of one of these controller pads. Normally 60, going for 40.
That's
This one,
33% off. Nice.
yeah. One that caught me off guard, Dragon Ball Z Seasons 1 through 9 on Blu-ray in one full set. 114 hours and 40 minutes of Dragon Ball Z content in HD. Normally $135, now $100.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's another like 33% off. Almost.
Yeah. I'm skipping the PS5 camera because who needs it? The Zotac GeForce RTX 3060 GPU, graphics card, a badass graphics card. Normally $550, going for $380. Good luck on grabbing that because I'm sure that thing is gonna sell like wildfire. A Razer Wolverine wired Xbox controller. It looks like for $100 instead of $150. Oh, a 23.5-inch curved Samsung monitor. Normally $190, now $140. $50 off.
Curved monitor, nice.
Yeah. I've never owned one, but I have used one, and damn, they are nice looking.
A bunch of deals on Switch games.
Yeah, a bunch of deals on Switch games. I'll call out a few of these. We got 13 Sentinels, normally $60, now $40. Animal Crossing New Horizons, normally $60, now $50. Pretty much all the Assassin's Creeds are on sale.
For about half.
Yeah, for about half off. And that's true for all platforms, even Valhalla, and then it's about half price of normal, so it's normally $60, now it's $30. Bravely Default 2, normally $60, now $30. Let's kind of scroll through
Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, normally $60, now $30. Immortals Phoenix Rising, normally $40, now $15. Breath of the Wild, normally $60, now $40. Link's Awakening, normally $60, now $50, which I just bought this game like 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago.
Brilliant Diamond.
Now it's on sale. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, normally $60, now $15.
Nice.
That is the cheapest you're going to see in Nintendo.
That's 75% off right there.
Yeah, that's huge. Let's see here. Monster Hunter Rise, normally $60, now $34. Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap, rather, the Switch one, normally $60, now $40.
30% off. Yep.
Yeah. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I don't know why Brilliant Diamond is $43 and Shining Pearl is $40, but either way, they're both normally $60. Origami King, Paper Mario Origami King, normally $60, now $40. Splatoon 2, normally $60, now $40. Let's see. Super Mario Odyssey, fantastic game, normally $60, now $37.49. Triangle Strategy, that is quite new. It's only a few months old. Normally $60, now $50. Down to the PlayStation. Oh, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is actually more than half off. It's normally $60, now it's $20.
It's 66% off.
Yeah. A lot of these ones on PlayStation are also going to be on sale on. If it's on Xbox, if the game is on both platforms, it's got about the same discount. Like Battlefield 2042, normally $70, now $20. However, reviews of that game has been really rough. Call of Duty Vanguard, normally $70, now $30. Deathloop, normally $60, now $30. This Demon Souls discount doesn't seem that big of a deal, from $70 to $58, but there. Elden Ring, the game that's probably going to get Game of the Year at a lot of places, normally $60, now $48. Far Cry 6, normally $60, now $18. Ghostwire Tokyo, which I think came out in February. Normally $60, now $30. I wish I had the budget to pick up some of these games because I'd spend $250. I'd probably spend $300 on these games that are on sale alone. Guardians of the Galaxy, normally $40, now $25. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, normally $70, now $30. However, I think I want to mention, double check. I believe Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is going to be on PlayStation Plus extras next week. So if you have the extras level of PlayStation Plus, you could also play it just as part of your subscription fee. Immortals Phoenix Rising, normally 40, now 15. Kena Bridge of Spirits, normally 50, now 40. Oh, Deluxe Edition. I was going to say, that game was 40 already, but Deluxe Edition. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, which covers all 9 of the Skywalker movies. Normally 60, now 41. Pre-order, what? They got a sale here for pre-orders on Lord of the Rings Golem. Which normally would be 60, but you can pre-order it now for $50. Lost Judgment, normally 60, now 30. Overcooked, All You Can Eat, normally 40, now 20. A Plague Tale, Innocence, normally 30, now 20. And a sequel to that's coming out before long, and the sequel will be on Game Pass if you have Xbox.
They got a couple of pre-owned deals that are pretty good too.
Yeah. Resident Evil Village, normally 60, now 30. We got some pre-owned deals here, although I don't know about how to think about these pre-owned deals, because a lot of the pre-owned stuff you can get in a lot of different places to shop at,
Right, but still, Returnals is a big title, and Ratchet and Clank.
Returnal was awesome. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is awesome, and Miles Morales is awesome, and all of those are on sale for their pre-owns. Wow, Miles Morales from 50 to 23, Rift Apart from 70 to 38, Returnal from 70 to 44.
And like you said, most of the Xbox is going to be the same. Most of the titles are similar.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands Next Level Edition, normally 70, now 55. Now we'll jump down to the Xbox. We'll try to skip over the ones that are duplicates. But they got Back for Blood, normally 60, now 12. Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition, normally 60, now 17.
60, now 12. That's 80% off. Oh my God, that's a lot.
Halo Infinite, normally 60, now 37. Microsoft Flight Simulator, normally 60, now 40. It's another game that's not on the PlayStation list. I think that hits it up for the Xbox list. That's unique.
The biggest discount of all of them is that Back for Blood one, though. 80% off. Nothing else is 80%. That's massive. I mean, I'm not familiar with the title, but
if you're not familiar with Back for Blood, are you familiar with Left 4 Dead?
Very little. It's not my kind of game, but
yeah, it wasn't my kind of game either. But it was a huge hit, and it's basically the sequel to Left 4 Dead. Not literally the sequel; it's like the spiritual successor. It's made by the same people who made Left 4 Dead.
But it's not part of the franchise.
It's not part of the franchise, but it has a very similar gameplay loop. So people who are fans of Left 4 Dead are going to probably like Back 4 Blood. I wasn't into Left 4 Dead, so I kind of skipped over the Back 4 Blood. But for people who do like that, if you like Left 4 Dead, absolutely buy that for $12.
Oh, $12, man! If you don't like Left 4 Dead, but you think you might have a friend who might want to borrow it, buy it for $12.
Right?
That could be a great little tuck away secret gift for later when you say, "Oh wait, I forgot to get them something." Hey, wait a minute! I bought that cheap $12 game that they're gonna love. I'll give that to them.
Yeah, it could be a great birthday gift for if you're not into that
birthday or Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, moving on down past the list of games, Logitech G Gual motor. I don't know what the hell a Gual motor is, but a G24 racing wheel. It must be impressive because it's a $400 controller now for $190. Compatible with PS3, PS4, and PS5. More than half off.
It's about 52% off. Yeah.
That's gonna be great for some hardcore racing game fans. Holy crap! If you like Gran Turismo.
Apple Watch 7.
Yeah, Apple Watch Series 7 from $429 to $309. Another racing wheel from Logitech. This one for Xbox and PC, normally $300, now $190. Apple AirPods Pro, normally $250, now $170. I'm wanting to try to get. I've been thinking about getting earbuds like this, not Apple brand, but earbuds like these AirPods. But I'm scared of losing them.
I don't like
You know what I mean?
earbuds. I prefer my
They're so
noise
small.
canceling. I like noise canceling headphones. I'm not big into the
Yeah.
buds. The buds
Well,
irritate
okay.
my ears, among other things.
Yeah. Well, okay. When I'm like at home playing a game or whatever, the ones over my ears are preference. But I'm thinking about something to wear at the gym. Like I've been swimming, and it'd be great if I could get something that was water resistant that could fit in my ear. But then I would be like, I need it to be a bright neon orange, so if it falls out, I can find it in the pool. You know,
Right? And
I
you
will
would,
spend $200 on something in my ear that might fall out while I swim. But I want to wear. I'm wanting to get something so I can listen to podcasts while I'm exercising. You know.
right?
And so
Which is a
I,
big thing for a lot of podcasts and stuff now. Is a lot of people do that while they're working out.
yeah, yeah.
And there's a new podcast that just started that you might be interested in. I don't know. Michael Rosenbaum. It just started this week. One with Tom Welling, where they go back and rewatch every episode of Smallville and comment on it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, and the first
Yeah.
episode will be the first episode of Smallville, and it's called Talkville.
So, for those that aren't aware, Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor for that series, and Tom Welling played Clark Kent, Superman.
Right.
And
Although
Superman
he-
isn't quite the right word because he never went by Superman,
Yeah.
but Clark Kent / the Blur.
The blue blur.
Yeah, he was the red blue blur for a while, then he was just the Blur.
Yeah. But he only suited up in the last episode, so.
Was it Amanda Waller who told whenever because after Clark changed to wearing a black trench coat, I think it was Amanda Waller who said to him, "I preferred it back when you were wearing more patriotic colors than this black."
I think I was Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
But now, as a new podcast, just for those who might want to check it out, Michael Rosenbaum, who's mainly been doing podcasting lately, has just started a new one with Tom Welling as his co-star, where they just go back. And a lot of the episodes like, especially Rosenbaum hasn't seen because he left after like season 7.
Yeah.
And there was 10 seasons of Smallville. And at the
Yep.
time, that made it one of the longest running shows and the longest running Superman-based show, period.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the biggest Superman success stories they ever had so far when it comes to television shows. And Rosenbaum played an outstanding, I think, Lex Luthor. Outstanding Lex Luthor. And Glover as his father was good, and Tom Welling played a really good Clark Kent. He had the look of Clark Kent. I'm not saying anything against Tyler Hoechlin because I love Tyler Hoechlin, but Tom Welling really had that Boy Scout look. That is so Clark Kent, and so having them go back and watch every episode in order and do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of thing with insider information and stuff to it, one episode at a time as a podcast, is an interesting thing that they've been playing around with and talking about, and had, fans kind of asking questions about things that they could now answer from their behind the scenes kind of insider knowledge of those episodes. And who knows, they might even later on as they go get some other guests to come in, like Christine Crick, who played Lana Lang, and stuff. Get some of them to come in for guest appearances as well, because it was just a phenomenal show. And anyway, but yeah, we got off topic there. But yeah, for podcasts, that's a podcast you might want to check out if you want to look up Michael Rosenbaum, because he does a couple of different podcast shows, or just look up Talkville, like Smallville, but Talkville. And it's the Smallville Rewatch podcast. But anyway, this has been a public service announcement, and back to our regularly scheduled show.
There's a keyboard I found on here. Normally $130, now $35 for the EVGA Z15 gaming keyboard.
The full color backlit.
Yeah, highly rated EVGA mechanical gaming keyboard with RGB backlighting, ergonomic wrist rest, and a speedy set of switches. $100 off, basically, almost. There's also discounts on the storage drives from the looks of it for the PS5. I'm probably going to end up. I'm going to be shopping on those and see if I can find the best deal on a 2 terabyte storage drive on a PS5. Maybe
you can get a gaming laptop, a 15.6 gaming laptop for over $300 off, $1,000 laptop for $679.
Yeah.
That's good. Another one, an $800 one for $550. These are both gaming laptops specifically for gaming.
Yep. Also, official Xbox controllers, Xbox wireless controllers, normally $60, now $49.
SSD RAM, a terabit for $110. It's normally $127.49. Not a huge discount, but that's a terabit of RAM. That's a lot of RAM. A lot of TVs.
Wait, did you say terabit of RAM?
That looks like it's
or is it an SSD?
Oh, it's an SSD. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It is an SSD.
Yeah. SSD physically look quite similar to RAM.
I thought it was RAM because I looked at the picture, but it is an SSD. It looked like
terabyte of RAM.
I was more excited when it was RAM.
Holy shit.
That would have been badass, but nope, I guess I'm not as excited as I was.
I mean, it's still a good deal, but fucking Christ, if it was RAM.
Oh, if it was RAM, oh my God.
Bye.
I'd be buying it by the gross. Oh my God.
Yeah. According to this 1 terabyte solid state drive, it's normally $270 and it's currently $140. I want to double check on some of that because I don't know how accurate that is, but
another terabit SSD, 500 gigabyte SSD for only $85. Enhanced wireless controllers. There's just so much.
Yeah.
The Nexigo Grip Con with the pop-up screen. That one is for $46 instead of $60. The Echo Show 5, which little prop model smart display.
Kindle Fire 7 Kids, the kids version, is $50 now instead of $100.
Yeah, there's so much. We could go on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
About the Prime deals. You got just 2 days to do it, and we don't want to use up all your 2 days just talking about it. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Go ahead and check out Amazon Prime. They also did finally settle that lawsuit that they had with Prime Trucking over putting the name Prime on their delivery trucks. It is under an NDA, so neither company is saying what the actual resolution was, but Prime Trucking actually sued Amazon Prime for putting the Prime name on their delivery trucks because Prime Trucking had already copywritten that name for delivery driving, and they didn't. Yeah, but that's been settled, by the way. It's just under an NDA about what the actual results are, so we don't know what the settlement was. But I'm figuring that Prime probably got a Prime Trucking probably got a pretty decent paycheck out of Amazon, or some kind of contract deal for moving Prime's stuff, which would be even more profitable for them. That's probably what ended up happening. But anyway, all we could do is speculate because of the NDA. We're going to move on.
I was going to mention one last thing. PlayStation Plus Essential, normally $60, you can currently get for $45, $49. And then there's also a similar deal for Xbox, where you can get Xbox
Live.
Game Pass at a discounted prices too. So this is a good time to try to stock up on some of that stuff if you can swing it.
Yeah, if you've got the extra funds right now, now would be the time to go do that, because Prime deals is kind of like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. It only happens like once a year, and then they go away. So now's a good time for these specific kind of things. Anyway, we're going to go on to our next little thing, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Next one is just really, I had put a little bit, this is one of my recordings of my playing of the Fractured game, and I was hoping that I'm not going to play the sound, which is just me talking, but I think there's me fighting a treant, which I wanted to show you if I've got that one keyed up right. I lost against three. I know there's me fighting like an earth elemental. Yeah, I'm coming up to an earth elemental right here. Waiting on my sister, I think, in this one. Yeah, there's my sister behind me. There's the earth elemental. I'm putting out my mobile turret thing, my totem of wildfire, and then there's the earth elemental. You can't quite see it there. This one I didn't actually specifically record for us, so there's none of me zooming in to see really good. But you see the earth elementals like a rock creature, and then we're fighting these wisps, giant will-o'-the-wisp type creatures that are incorporeal. So our melee fighter, the only reason she can fight him is her axe is made out of silver, and silver weapons can hit non-corporeal creatures. And we're just stocking up on stuff by killing these guys. I just wanted to show just a little bit more. I wanted to show us fighting a treant. Let's see if I can. Okay, there's a treant. Looks like a big lumbery tree guy. And kind of wish I'd have zoomed in. I'll try to get a zoomed in picture of it next time. But it's another one of the great creatures in the game. Very much a primordial type fight. I still want to get to show you guys me fighting like the dragon, but I don't have any recordings of that yet. Next time I go against the dragon, though, I'll make sure to record it and show you guys some more of it. This is that Fractured MMO that I'm beta testing. I do periodically like to show you guys kind of a little bit of what's going on there. And like I said, I just wanted to touch on that really quick. We're going to actually go back over to one of Philip's topics now. And then I'll do my Kickstarter thing and then my From the Vault before we go into media.
Something went wrong with my link.
Okay, let's see. But this is... Oh, yeah. Sorry. Page we're looking at cannot be found. Oh, wow. That was your link. I forgot even what that one was. That was...
Yeah, let me try a new copy of it. It may have pasted wrong or something.
It was the video game creator one.
Yeah, it was about Hideo Kojima. Here, try this new one. I just sent you another copy of the link. Okay. I might have made a mistake while pasting the.
You may have missed a character off of it or something.
Yeah.
There we go. That happens. Here we go.
Okay. Hideo Kojima is my absolute favorite video game developer. And he was just recently misidentified. Okay, so if you haven't heard, the former Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister of Japan, was recently assassinated. And some sources incorrectly identified Hideo Kojima as the assassin. Something that shouldn't have happened. It is kind of a bizarre thing. Now Kojima is considering taking legal action against this. It's kind of wild. LA Times reports here. So I try to give credit to the journalists. I don't see their name. Here we go. Alexandra Del Rosario. Metal Gear Solid. She writes, Metal Gear Solid creator Hideo Kojima is not playing games when it comes to misinformation. On Saturday, the prolific Japanese video game designers Kojima Productions shared a statement condemning fake news in response to people ranging from 4chan users to politicians who have incorrectly identified him as the assassin of Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Hashtag Kojima Productions strongly condemns the spread of fake news and rumors that convey false information, said the statement posted to Twitter. We do not tolerate such libel and will consider taking legal action in some cases. Abe, 67, was assassinated in western Japan on Friday by gunmen who opened fire from behind while he delivered a campaign speech. The former prime minister was airlifted to a nearby hospital in Nara and pronounced dead after receiving massive blood transfusions, officials said. Police in Nara arrested the suspect, Tetsuya Yamagami, 41, who is a former member of Japan's Navy. Shortly after the assassination, users on the social media platform 4chan shared posts joking that Kojima shot Abe and comparing the appearances of Kojima and the assassin, according to Vice. The posts soon made their way to other platforms, including Twitter and international news outlets. French politician Damien Rieu shared the photos of the gaming figure with a caption that translated to "The extreme left kills." Rieu then deleted the post and walked back his sentiments. Quote, I naively took a joke for information. I never thought we could make humor about the assassination of a man, but I was wrong to not check before sharing. My apologies to Hideo Kojima and to the fans of Metal Gear, Dio said in a tweet translated from French. So, a fucking French politician thought it actually was Kojima.
But the fault really lies on the person who originally posted the joke, because a foreign language individual is going to be much more likely to not catch the joke.
Yeah.
And so
it's
him retweeting it is not 100% his fault. I mean, yes, he should have fact checked. He should have fact checked. Oh, you okay?
I banged my elbow.
Oh, funny bone. Okay.
So it's bad enough for the joke on 4chan, but then it got put on other platforms like international news outlets.
And Twitter.
Yeah. And of course it's going to end up on Twitter.
And Twitter, like everybody watches Twitter. I don't even open my Twitter account, but everybody watches Twitter.
That's where I first learned, like the first I heard of the story at all was a Twitter post that was going viral. I don't even remember who the origin of the poster was, but a Twitter post that was going viral because I've been getting onto Twitter more recently. And it was saying that video game creator Hideo Kojima assassinates Japanese prime minister. And my first thought was it was some sort of I didn't know there was a real assassination. I thought it was some sort of
a game promotion or something.
A new game promotion or something. I thought they was making it because we don't know what his next game is yet.
Yeah,
I thought maybe it was something to do with his new game that's in development.
He might have had like a live political assassination kind of scene in his game or something, and people would have thought, "Oh, wow, that's a neat concept." No, it's not.
There couldn't have been a more specific, more accurate like game creator they could have gotten. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2, the biggest plot that the villains of Metal Gear Solid 2 is trying to do is control information. Like,
misinformation and fake news.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest antagonists in Metal Gear Solid 2 is fake news. That game came out in 2002, 2001, 2002, and that was like the biggest threat was misinformation in that game. Besides, forgetting the nukes and the giant robots, the real threat was misinformation. And now this guy also has done some, Kojima's done some interesting publicity things in the past. Like there was a time where when he was working on Metal Gear Solid 5, he created a fake video game company out of like Norway or something. And he would go on camera wearing bandages over his face so you couldn't tell who he was. And have like a voiceover talking about this new game that they were working on called The Phantom Pain. before eventually revealing that it was actually Kojima. And they left hints, and like fans were able to put things together and be like, I think this is actually Kojima.
Now, I don't want to be one of those racist people that say all Asian people look alike, but it would have been interesting to see the actual shooter side by side with the Kojima to see if they were similar.
I've seen pictures of the shooter, and there are pictures of the shooter where he's wearing a mask over the bottom half. So when all you can see is the top half and his hair, there is some similarity, but that's not a whole lot to talk of because it's eyes and black hair.
Right.
You know? And
so it's not enough to really go into. Yeah. Okay.
I just because like it looks like without the mask.
Because I don't want to, like I said, a lot of people use that racist thing of all of a specific race look alike, and they don't. They just look alike to other people because people don't look close enough. Is really what it is.
Yeah.
And but I would have liked to have seen an actual representation of both of them just to compare. But okay, well, luckily. Your hero is vindicated. It was not him.
Yes.
And that's good for the video gaming industry because there's a lot of people that are looking forward to his next game.
It was Greece and Iran. Regular news outlets in Greece and Iran incorrectly identified Kojima as the
killer. I saw that near the end, yeah.
Oh my goodness. What a turn of events.
This is fake news, people.
Yeah.
Okay. We are going now into a couple of our regular segments before we get into the full media. First off, I haven't done it in the last couple of weeks, but I do like to recommend a Kickstarter. This week, it's got 16 days left. It is a comic book Kickstarter, 52 pages of superhero action called Super #1. They were trying to raise $5,000. They're almost halfway there. They have 16 days to go. They have 71 backers. And what it is, it's the issue 1 of a comic book. Basically, as the synopsis says here, you're the richest person on the planet. What do? Spend your wealth trying to colonize Mars? Maybe just try to space in the preeminent phallic compensator and cry about unions to a frigid, uncaring universe. Or maybe you assemble your very own team of superpowered misfits, toss a cool billion at an awesome new headquarters, and out-hero those annoying A-listers. Or, accidentally demolish an entire city block while you and your squad try to stop the Black Adam from robbing a casino. It's just another Tuesday evening in Cosmopolis, the city of supers. It was originally released in 2011 to much fanfare of readers and critics alike. 6 more issues followed over the years, but then tragedy reared its ugly head. In 2019, Zach Dolan, the creator and artist behind the series, passed away before this full scope of his vision could be realized. It's been 3 years since that nightmare transpired, and finally, in honor of our late friend, Unlikely Hero Studios would like to present to you this remastered, retooled, relettered, and reassembled ultimate version of Zach's dream project, starting with issue 1. So, we like to support different kinds of Kickstarters here. Comic books is one of the things that we're really big on. I know me and Lurch both. We love comics. We've got a lot of friends who are artists in the area who do indie comics, Zombie Dave, things like that. And so supporting something like a Kickstarter for comic books, I think, is an important thing to do. And so I wanted to point this one out. It's only less than halfway to its goal, but its goal is a very modest $5,000. And you got 16 days to jump in on this project. Now, if you back the project, I haven't even looked at the backer levels yet, so I'm going to look at those right now. If you back it for $8, you get the digital edition, 56-page comic book digital edition, or you get for $15 you get the physical with cover A, or for $20 for cover B, or $20 you could also get cover C, or D, or E. Oh, there's a bunch of covers, or F. There's also $45 to get a T-shirt. $75 gets the early bird covers collection, so that's all the covers plus the digital edition for $75. That's not bad for getting all the different physical copies plus a digital edition. So you read the digital edition, you put the physical copies away to see if they earn any money later. and there you go. And of course, there's the Foil Fanatic, which is a hollow foil edition of cover A plus the T-shirt plus the regular cover A and the digital edition, and that's for $80. So there's not bad backers things here, and if you want to come in and support one of our fallen few in the comic book indie platform industry, this would be something to do. It'd be a nice way to honor a small comic book producer in his passing. You get 52 pages of content, so it's a nice sized book. And for $8 for the digital copy, that's not too bad. I could see that as being backed. I mean, it was 16 days ago. They really only have to do little under $3,000 in that 16 days. I think they could probably make it. And with your help, they could. So I do like to throw out a Kickstarter every show just to kind of show you what the indie developers are doing in the different industries, because we here personally like to support crowdfunded projects, because that's our people in the community jumping in without necessarily the big designers backing them up. Because big designers, as soon as you start working for a big designer, you're under their thumb and they take control of your project. This way, the projects become more of the dream of the person who originally developed them, and they don't have to compromise as much. So anyway, you got 16 days to decide if you want. $8 is not a huge investment. I, of course, still limit myself to one Kickstarter a year, and I've already done that. So I will not be backing it. But I will still continue to present a new Kickstarter just about every show, unless we're doing like a big show where we're featuring other stuff and don't get into it. And I just wanted to go into that. Did you have anything to add to this before I move on to my vault recommendation for the week?
I do not know.
Okay. Now, for my vault recommendation, of course, we love old school movies about superheroes. And of course, we have talked about classic superheroes before. And no, Steel is not who I'm talking about. That's my fake out. Steel was a terrible movie. Even though John Henry Irons in the new Superman and Lois series is a great character, you don't want to see Shaquille O'Neal act. So this is my fake out. Actually, when we're going to go to classic movies, V for Vendetta. Probably a great movie. It's topical right now because Natalie Portman is in it. And Natalie Portman is, of course, in Thor Love and Thunder. Oh, yeah, no problem. Natalie Portman is, of course, also in Thor Love and Thunder. So it's very much topical, because if you like Natalie Portman, you're going to want to go see other things with her in it. And one of the things that she did that was really good was V for Vendetta. And of course, a lot of people will remember the 5th of November. It's kind of an alternative history view of the world where the Americas are failed colonies and Great Britain is a power. And a revolutionary dressed in this mask, V, is going around making like revolutionary statements, and he's killing or threatening people in the government of the British government as a revolutionary, and he ends up saving Natalie Portman's character from a assault by guards when she's out after curfew, and then they end up, she ends up helping support his cause, when at first she's kind of against helping him because he's a rebel and a revolutionary, and she doesn't want to get involved, but she slowly comes around to his side of thinking, and all through the show it's the remember the 5th of November, which is the
gunpowder treason plot. I see no reason why the gunpowder treason shall ever be forgot.
Yep.
Which is actually an old. It's actually a British holiday, Guy Fawkes Day.
Yeah. Well, and the mask he wears is supposed to be a Guy Fawkes mask.
Yep.
Yeah. And they actually start the movie with a clip from a dramatization of the Guy Fawkes execution at the very, very beginning of the movie. But the movie actually takes place in an alternate history where the American colonies has failed and the British are in charge. And they talk about the failed colonies and everything in the movie.
No, it's not like we were just some failed colony. Like we did, like America did, like grow and become, a powerful country, but then got devastated by, plague and whatever happened that caused America to fall.
It's not correct for today's day and era, so we're not saying we agree with this or anything, but in the movie they attribute all of the falling of the Americas to things like rampant homosexuality and anti-Christian sentiment, because of course the British Isle is under the blessing of God, and they're the heathens that turn their backs on God, and that's why they got their comeuppance, is what the British are trying to say. But of course,
the British right-wing people in charge are, basically say that America fell due to godlessness.
Yes, and
Barry literally says that on a television broadcast early in the show, in the movie.
The very first broadcast of the show points that out. Yeah. And V is fighting and championing the rights of people to be who they are, worship who they want, love who they want, and it's very revolutionary. So V himself is very awakened, and Natalie Portman is slowly brought to his side of thinking. But it's an early movie with Natalie Portman before she became such a big star with her playing. It came out around the same time as she played Amidala.
It came out after the Star Wars movies.
But it was about the same time. That was the only thing really under her belt, was Queen Amidala, and then she was in V for Vendetta. She still wasn't quite a household name yet. And then, of course, Hugo Weaving is in it, and he's great as well. And now we've got her back as the Mighty Thor. So I thought it would be appropriate today. Actually, I came up to Allison and says, I got like 3 movies to possibly do.
Beaver Vendetta came out the same year as Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I'd come to Allison. I first had 2 movies to suggest. I was like, which one do you think I should do? And she's kind of waffling. And then I was like, or I always thought I could always just do V for Vendetta. She's like, that one. Yeah. So, she's like, that's always a good one.
V for Vendetta?
I can't hear you because I'm listening to him.
It's a stupid question when one of the answers is V for Vendetta.
She's like, it's a stupid question when one of the answers is V for Vendetta. It's like, don't even ask.
V for Vendetta from 2005 until 2019 was my absolute favorite movie.
And I thought you would appreciate this one. So I brought it in as mine. And I decided that I had to put the little fake out of Steel in there in the beginning just to throw you off, because that is one of the worst movies ever. Oh, also,
I'm actually having a little bit of a technical glitch, so I'm having a hard time seeing what you're sharing. But so I'm just having.
it's kind of small. Let me buff up the size.
No, it's not that. What's showing to me is I'm not even like I'm just got a frozen image, and I've tried doing refreshing and closing and reopening, and it's not helping me any. So I'm just kind of going with it. I'm keeping up like the articles and stuff on here, so I can easily look at stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can't see what you're showing. I couldn't see the Steel image. But that's all right. I'm making it work.
The Steel image was. Oh nope! I already closed it. Oh well.
Okay, so Natalie Portman has been like my key like celebrity crush since this movie came out because
she's adorable. You gotta admit, she is adorable.
She did such a great job on this movie. I've seen it. I've probably seen V for Vendetta more than any other movie I've ever watched. I've got the graphic novel, which I went to grab, but Angel must still be borrowing it. I loaned it to him a couple months ago, and he must still have it.
It is a must see, though. It is really for people who want to watch older, kind of different takes on superhero kind of themed things. V for Vendetta is a great one to watch, and so I wanted to recommend it. And on the other hand, Steel is a terrible one to watch, and you want to block it out of your memory. I just had to put it up there just to fake people out. In fact, in other news about superhero things, there's a actual superhero kind of themed movie that is getting pretty good traction on iTunes and stuff right now, but it actually holds a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's Max Steel, the movie. And it was like critically panned by everybody, and yet it's getting a little bit of traction right now as kind of like a cult hit. Not because it's great, but just because people are curious to see something that got a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think. What was the other thing in movies? While we were talking about movies, because I was going to bring this up during Comic-Con. Oh, yes. There has been some talk about Quantumania. Bill Murray is going to be playing a character that is directly versus Kang, and I forget what the character's name because he only ever appeared in like one Hulk episode when Hulk went into the Micro City. And is this green-skinned guy, but Bill Murray is going to play him opposite Kang as kind of a versus character for a little bit. And MODOK is supposed to be in Quantumania, which is going to be interesting to see a live-action version of MODOK that will be on that big cinematic screen. Also,
I wonder how comic accurate the visuals will be for the movie MODOK, movie character MODOK.
I don't know. I know that the person who's supposedly playing MODOK is the same guy that played Yellow Jacket. And it might actually even be the same person because, he got kind of banished to the quantum realm when he was defeated. So he might be turned into MODOK in the quantum realm. And it might be a different origin story for MODOK than we're used to. I don't know. I do know that they have talked to a lot of visual effects people for big space battles and stuff. And they've worked on this. So even though they're not in outer space, they're in the quantum realm. And the majority of the movie is supposed to take place in the quantum realm this time. The heavy focus is going to be the quantum realm. And it looks like we're going to get some space battle type things, but done in the quantum realm instead of being done in the universe and having big overarching effect on the 616 universe or the 19999 universe, whichever number you want to use for it. Because everything's going to happen in the quantum realm, we don't have to worry as much about its big overarching effect on everything. And that's something I wanted to point out. Another thing that I wanted to point out, I've been going through stuff about movies a lot in the last week because I knew we weren't going to have a lot of media this time around. Oh yeah, they one of the directors and stuff working on the Marvel Cinematic Universe has pointed out that there actually is an overarching theme for Phase 4. A lot of people have said each of the movies and TV shows doesn't seem like there's an overarching theme like there was in Phase 3. But the Phase 4 overarching theme is actually redemption and what do we do now kind of things. That's why you get... I'm not going to spoil Love and Thunder by saying where the redemption arc is there. But that's why you get like Barton teaching his replacement for Hawkeye, and you get Spider-Man dealing with things by focusing on being Spider-Man and leaving Peter Parker behind. And you get Black Widow 2 focusing on, making up for her sister's loss. And everything is based on redemption. You get Captain America 2 taking over for Steve Rogers. And you got everything is based around a redemption arc. What do they do now? Ironheart will be one of the continuations for Iron Man. And Miss Marvel will be one of the people that's under Captain Marvel's wing as a redemption thing. So we're going to get a lot of sidekicks, a lot of lead-ins to things that might eventually get us teams like the Young Avengers, although they haven't said that specifically. They have said that the whole redemption arc is part of what Phase 4 is. I mean, even the comic books are kind of reflecting that, because the new Daredevil comic book, #1, that's just come out, Daredevil is leaving New York, and he is spending the first issue with Spider-Man because Spider-Man is the only hero he trusts to keep an eye on New York when he leaves. So he's basically handing them the mantle of his beloved New York to Spider-Man. And New York has been defended by Spider-Man since Spider-Man first showed up anyway. But Daredevil, that even fits along with the redemption arc, even though that's the comic book universe.
Have you heard that Kingpin and Daredevil have been confirmed to be an Echo?
Yes, they are confirmed to be an Echo. And possibly Christy Ritter will reprise her role as Jessica Jones as well.
Yeah.
Also, that title thing with the AKA Jessica Jones was a mistake from what I hear from Marvel Studios. And it is either has been switched back or will be switched back. But that was a mistake. But no, there is talk of bringing back Christy Ritter as Jessica Jones. There's also talk about bringing back Luke Cage, but he is currently committed to another show right now, so there's scheduling conflicts, so they haven't actively... The only person they have not contacted of the original Defenders to come back is the original Danny Rand, even though there's some rumors out there that he might be in the next Shang-Chi movie. Those are supposed to be officially named as fake now. But
we were character back, but recasting.
Well, there's people are of two minds about it. One interviewer I watched was like, no, bring Danny Rand back as him and give him a chance to redeem himself. But other people say it's a perfect chance to recast Danny Rand.
Yeah.
And stuff. But
the Danny Rand show wasn't a problem with the biggest problem with that show was the actor. So recasting. They recast Hulk, they can recast Danny Rand.
Yeah, and because of the way that they're bringing the Defenders in, they can make them a slightly different universe for continuity's sake, which means a different Danny Rand would be no problem. Or they could go to Iron Fist 2 and it not be Danny Rand, but be a different Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So that's always a possibility. I mean, we've had to do other recastings. Obviously, we're not going to have the T'Challa going forward because we lost,
Oh man!
yeah.
Speaking of recastings, we're talking about these shows and stuff. Not to be too spoilery, but I was so happy to see Amy Alexander reprise her role as Lady Sif in the new Thor movie.
Oh, that was fantastic. And we'll get into more of that when we do the Thor thing, which is coming right up. We're actually about to go into our media section. From this point forward, except for Thor, we're going to try to stay away from spoilers in Thor. But from this point forward, and we really only have one show to really talk about before we get into Thor, and that's Miss Marvel, we will have spoilers. So let's see.
Two shows. We got Miss Marvel and The Boys.
Oh, yeah, we do have the season finale of The Boys. Didn't we talk about that last week, or was it this week? That was this week.
It was just a few days ago that the finale came out.
Right. So anyway, we're going to start off with then The Boys.
Well, maybe we should, before we get into the spoiler stuff, just talk a little bit about Thor Ragnarok. Or not Ragnarok, I'm sorry. Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. Yeah, let's do Thor Love and Thunder first to make sure we get into the details. Okay, we're not going to go into spoiler-heavy stuff. We will say, one, the movie is very much written as a rom-com. There's a lot of comedic points in the movie, which I personally like. The comedy elements are well done, and this doesn't spoil anything, but you know how the preview came out and you heard Sweet Child of Mine in that first preview? Yeah. Well, the soundtrack ends up almost all being from Appetite of Destruction, the Guns N' Roses album, because there's like 4 or 5 songs from Appetite of Destruction in this movie. Okay. Yeah. There's even a reference to Axl Rose, and I'm not going to say what the reference is, but there's a reference to Axl Rose in the movie.
Yeah. So that movie was
a total homage.
The soundtrack was freaking great.
Well, it was specifically from that one album of Guns N' Roses, which was my favorite album growing up. And of all albums, Sweet Child of Mine is my absolute favorite song. And my album that I wore out 3 copies of the cassette when I was a kid in my Walkman was Appetite for Destruction, because I played it over and over and over again. And that one album, which had Paradise City and Welcome to the Jungle, is played throughout this movie. Every time a rock ballad comes on in the movie, it's Axl and Slash wailing on it and doing a song from Appetite for Destruction. And so the soundtrack is amazing. If you go get the Thor Love and Thunder soundtrack, you're pretty much, it's going to be like how Highlander was by Queen. This is by Guns N' Roses. I mean, come on. There's like 2 songs in the movie that aren't Guns N' Roses.
Trying to avoid the spoilers, but one thing I was worried that the screaming, because we see in the trailers those screaming goats.
Yes,
I thought they're gonna get annoying, but every freaking time they scream, I laughed.
Oh, the goats were hilarious.
The timing for their screams was just perfect.
And Korg, Taika Waititi's character Korg, he's shown in this movie as comedic foil. Korg was great. For one thing, he was kind of the one that helped kind of wrangle the goats, and we got to hear a little bit more about his rock culture. I'm not going to spoil it, but you're going to want to pay attention. You'll learn a little bit about his rock culture. We see several different gods in Omnipotent City, which is the Marvel city of the gods where they go to retire after they've done on Earth, kind of thing. And before they go to Omnipotent City, Thor actually mentions several gods, which kind of offhandedly links to even Moon Knight, because he mentions Ra, and Ra is, of course, the Egyptian sun god and the Zeus of the Egyptian pantheon, which would put him as the leader of the high caste of Egyptian gods, which Khonshu is one of. And so that's an offhanded link to Moon Knight. And then they also mention like Quetzalcoatl and a few other gods are mentioned. And actually, it's not a spoiler, just like because it was in the first preview. They have the time when they flick off Thor's clothes and all the female goddesses around Zeus pass out from his magnificence.
Yeah.
and you got Jane Foster and Valkyrie over there. It's like, should we help? Grape.
Yeah, we should help them in a minute.
We will. Grape? No, it's great. It was the horn had grapes in it. She's like, grape?
Yeah.
Which, of course, is a reference to ancient Greece, because the nobility in ancient Greece, when they watched these kind of spectacles, the slaves would peel grapes and feed them to the nobility. So this is an offhanded reference to that, and they're sitting there eating grapes out of a horn of plenty while they're watching this, and it's totally making fun of the Greek culture, but in a non-racist kind of way, more of a historical kind of way. And classical. It was very classic historical kind of reference. Go see the movie. You will be glad you did. I went with Ralphie. Yeah, I got Ralphie out of the house. I says, hey, I need a new movie going, buddy. Why don't you come with me? It'll get you out of the house and a break from your kid for a while, and I will still get to go to a movie and not have to do it alone. And we went. We had a really good time. So Ralphie is, of course, our henchman wrangler at Game. So he's the guy in charge of all the henchmen. And so if you come and you work as a volunteer, you'll work directly with Ralphie. And you'll sometimes work with my girlfriend, too, Allison, because she kind of is his unofficial assistant, usually when she's there. When he needs a break, she will take over for a few. She's not officially going to volunteer much more than that, probably, this year, but she is kind of the one that helps Ralphie out. So if you come in and you work, and there's a lot of perks to being a henchman, too. You get a henchman t-shirt. We have used a raffle for a couple Amazon gift cards that the more hours you work as a henchman, the more entrance you get into that raffle. We try to feed our henchmen a couple of times throughout the weekend. So there's perks to being a henchman. Not to being a wallflower. In this case, there's perks to being a henchman. But anyway, that's my little plug for Game again. We like to squeeze those in back and forth. We will talk more about Thor, Love and Thunder, though, next week after more people have had a chance to watch it, because it just came out. We don't want to overload you with spoilers on Thor, only because it's just so fresh. But from this point on, we've got Miss Marvel and The Boys, and The Boys is the finale, and Miss Marvel is the penultimate episode, so it's right before the finale. The finale is actually tomorrow.
Yeah. So which you want to get first, The Boys finale or the penultimate Miss Marvel?
Let's go ahead and just do The Boys in the normal thing, and then go to Miss Marvel to finish this off. All right. So we're going to switch over to The Boys. Okay. The 7 finally ended, and we've got lots of news for The Boys this week. First off, we did have the epic battle finish between Homelander and Soldier Boy, which is Jensen Ackles. Yep. Playing Soldier Boy is great. Of course, everybody knows him as Dean Winchester from Supernatural. But Jensen Ackles comes in and has this big, epic kind of final battle with Homelander, because first we weren't sure if it was going to happen, because Homelander turns out to be genetically Soldier Boy's son. So we start to think maybe Soldier Boy is not going to get into that. But
Yeah.
Homelander brings his kid in.
And Butcher is trying to convince Soldier Boy how he's not his son. He's like, he may be your same genetic material, but you didn't raise him. You didn't name him. You've never met him.
You never played catch with him. You didn't teach him your values.
Yeah, he's not your boy. He's just
He's just your genetic material, and because Butcher, one of the things that was promised to Butcher by Soldier Boy was that he would take care of Homelander. And
Homelander, yeah.
Maeve gets rescued, and she comes in for the final battle, which is nice. And you actually get one heck of a slugfest between Maeve and Homelander.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably one of my favorite parts. In fact, Allison got like a little bit of an excitement there because it looked like for a second that Maeve might have even took Homelander out, but she didn't. But she did she caught him in the family jewels at least once, and she also stabbed something into his side of his head. I think it was
I don't know what it
pencil
was.
I thought it was like a pencil or something, but she rammed some long and thin and a pointer or something.
Maybe a metal straw or something. I don't know. She stabbed something metal into his ear.
Yeah, and we thought maybe that would have taken him out, but it didn't. Maeve lost an eye.
Yeah, Maeve lost an eye.
And Maeve ended up sacrificing herself to save Starlight. She threw herself between Soldier Boy and Starlight when he was about to use his big nuclear attack, which, as we found out in previous episodes, if it hits a super and they survive, it pretty much knocks their powers out, which is how Kumiko lost her powers.
Yeah.
And so Maeve is dead at the end of the episode, but then we find out that she's not dead. Yeah. The world thinks she's dead. They've had a funeral. She now gets to live a normal life with her girlfriend, but
with no powers.
With no powers.
And one eye.
And one eye. But she's got a white eye patch, and is like, and here's the important question: should I go for like
glass eye?
Or glass eye? Patch? Should I Sammy Davis Jr. it with the glass eye or the pirate patch? Oh, pirate patch, totally. And I agree, pirate patch, totally. So we have no idea what's coming in season 4. I do know 2 things though. Season 4 will happen, and there's a boys spin-off series called The Boys Varsity that's coming. And so, yes, and this will be at a like school for supers where they're vying for positions in superhero teams, but it's in the boys universe.
Yeah.
So, and the lead designer, Kripke, he said he had to take his hat off to Kevin Feige because of seeing how much hard work it is just keeping one property straight in a superhero universe, and he now is going to have to focus on 2. And he's like, oh my God, and Kevin Feige's working on this whole like Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's already having trouble keeping the 2 straight in his head. And Eric Kripke has done a lot of work. I mean, he worked on Supernatural. He's worked on, a lot of different properties through the years. And him and Bobby Singer have worked together in a lot of things. Bobby Singer is, of course, the guy who plays Robert Singer in The Boys.
That's not the actor's name. The actor's name is Jim Beaver.
Is it?
Yes.
Because he's credited as Robert Singer in the credits.
The character is Robert Singer. The actor is Jim Beaver. There is a Robert Singer who's a producer on the show, but it's not the same guy.
Oh, it's not the same guy? Oh, I thought it was because...
No.
Because he's also... Well, Robert Singer is also one of the producers of Supernatural, where Bobby Singer is a character there, too. And so it's easy to make that confusion, but thank you for fixing that for me.
Yeah.
As I always thought it was just his own conceit. He always named his character after himself. Either conceit or laziness. He just didn't want to learn another name. But okay, so I guess they just always honor that director by naming him in their shows.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. We've got a lot of stuff happens. Homelander unfortunately survives. That disappointed Allison no end because, of course, she's been hoping to see Homelander get his comeuppance, but I didn't expect it. I didn't expect
a little bit over about how the battle happened. So, like, how and why the battle happened. Because, like, Homelander went and he found Ryan and convinced Ryan to come with him because he's his father and all that. And he's like, you know, I want him. And he tells Ryan, the boy, the little kid, about how he's like, I'm not mad at you, like, because the kid's like, aren't you angry at me for? I forget what he did in the season.
He blasted him with his heat vision.
Yeah, I think he killed someone or something. Maybe he killed his mom on accident, something like that.
But he did it to protect Butcher, I think it was.
Yeah, but Homelander's like, don't worry about it. When you're as powerful as we are, sometimes accident happens, and those accidents can sometimes, you know, kill the people that we care about, destroy what we care about most. But you know, no one understands that as much as I do.
So
that's why I'll never get mad at you for something like that, you know.
So he says the right words as a father, but
yeah. And so then Ryan Lee goes with him, leaves the Grace Lady behind, and comes and stays with Homelander. And then he's with Homelander when Soldier Boy shows up with Maeve and Butcher. And then shortly after, Flashlight shows up. Not Flashlight. What's her name? Starlight.
But, well, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Huey was going to originally go with them, but then Butcher knocks Huey out because he did not pass along the warning about V29 to Huey that Starlight had given him in the previous episode. But then he knocked Huey out to prevent Huey from taking any more V29.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to get into the thing with Homelander, Soldier Boy, and Ryan. The three of them are facing each other, and we're not sure what's going to happen. You know, because we're not sure if Soldier's going to fight him or not, or if they're going to end up teaming up, and they're doing a little bit of conversation about being father and son or whatever.
And now grandson.
And now grandson. And then Soldier Boy puts his hand on Homelander's shoulder, and he's like, I really wish I could have been there for you to raise you, because then maybe you wouldn't have grown up to be such a pussy. And then he's like, what? He's like, you might have been a real man. He's like, I'm your son. I'm you. And he's like, I know. And you're such a disappointment for it. And then he starts to attack Homelander. Ryan interferes. I think he accidentally lasers Soldier Boy's shield or something, and then Soldier Boy's like, you little fucking punk, and it like hits Ryan.
And Butcher gets pissed.
Homelander and Butcher all get pissed at Soldier Boy for it, and so that's what triggers off the fight.
And then Butcher's like, not the boy. He says, what do you mean? It's like, he was the son of my wife, I made a promise. And
Soldier's like, so you fucked your wife and had a kid?
And you're protecting him? You're weaker than he is.
Yeah.
And Butcher wasn't having any of that, and so then Butcher goes all out on frickin' Soldier Boy. Maeve and Starlight show up, and they're fighting.
Maeve was with Butcher and Soldier Boy. The three of them locked the others in a safe or whatever until
that's right.
Someone, Huey or Frenchie or someone showed up and let them out, and then they went together and they did some splitting up so that Frenchie and Kimiko could go get some more of that chemical stuff because to knock out Soldier Boy because Maeve threw it out the window.
Right. So they're doing that. Huey went and tried to get the building evacuated because Vought Tower had over 1,000 people in it who could have died as innocent as a Vault employee might be. But they would have died as innocents in the battle. So Huey goes to evacuate the building. Ashley turns to her assistant Ashley when she's going to go into the bunker to be protected. She says, "No, bunker's just for VPs and above, senior vice presidents and above. Sorry, Ashley." So she turns her assistant away, doesn't even take her into safety with her. And because that just shows how much of a prick people are in Vought. Huey is on the announcements, and he's thinking about like taking the V-29 to come help, but instead he turns on all the lights in the room where they're at, and supercharges
as much as possible. Yeah,
supercharges Starlight's power so that she's able to fight Soldier Boy off, because Starlight gets more powerful the more ambient light there is for her to soak up, and so she just like totally freaking supercharges, because she does a Superman from the last episode of Superman and Lois. She's supercharged. Yeah. She went Starlight Nova.
At least as Nova as we've seen her able to get anyway.
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
And everything. But then Soldier Boy went to go after Starlight. And, Maeve was not going to be like a hero so much. But then she breaks down, jumps between Starlight and Soldier Boy, and basically takes Soldier Boy out the window while he's charging up. And so on the way down, he basically explodes them both with his nuclear power. We don't know what happens with Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy survives.
Oh, he survives. They put the gas on his face and they take him into custody. That's right.
Yeah, he's put back to sleep and put into a canister that Grace from that agency that Butcher works with. And
the Superhero Control Agency. Right.
And according to the public, that wasn't Soldier Boy. They told the public it was some other Russian villain or something. I can't remember what they called him.
It was not Soldier Boy, because everything was just Starlight's evil rumor mongering, because Starlight is so evil and bad.
Yeah, and then Homelander goes out and he's giving like a little thing to talking with the public and introduces the world to his son,
who floats down in his own power because he's got a lot of his dad's powers. And
then some protester out there throws something at Ryan and it hits him in the face, and Homelander just eye beams that guy and splatters him.
And the crowd goes wild in support.
Yeah.
And Homelander's like, oh. And big old smile on his face is like, they still love me. I can't do anything wrong with these guys. Great.
Yeah. And the guy who started the cheer is the stepdad of Mother's Milk's daughter.
Yep.
And
so he's such an ass. And then Mother's Milk, of course, has a final touching moment with his daughter where he says, I never wanted you to see this side of things and stuff, and never meet your heroes. And she's like, you're my hero, Daddy. And it's all and so Mother's Milk is still of the team. In a lot of ways, Mother's Milk is the one person who never truly compromised himself. Even above Starlight, he just never compromised who he was. Of course, Kumiko got her powers back, and she helped Frenchie go in and create the knockout gas for Soldier Boy. Frenchie got hit in the leg, so he's kind of crippled right now.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's going to get fixed. But then
I assume it'll be healed by the next season.
And then the last scene of the show, we see all the members of the boys there except Butcher, basically telling Starlight that she's a member of the boys and they don't care what Butcher has to say about it. It's a democracy now. He's outvoted. And then Butcher's like at the door. It's like, well, this is a right treat, isn't it? And then they see a news report that shows Senator Bobby Singer on a campaign, and he's announced his vice presidency candidate is the head exploding girl who was in charge of the the superhero bureau.
Yeah.
That nobody knows is a super except them. And so she
It's
is
also
now
important to
running for
note
vice president.
It's also important to note that the Deep was ordered to go assassinate someone.
The previous vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, the previous candidate. I can't remember if it was the previous vice president candidate.
And he did it.
Opened up the room for her. Yeah, and he went to it. He's like that's treason. He's like, are you gonna do it or not? Of course.
Yeah, because his Homelander's like, because is there anything we can do for you, Homelander? And Homelander's like, there's one thing you can do for me. And he leans in and whispers something, and he's like, what? That's treason. Are you going to do it? Because he was like, basically he was saying it was like, just like Soldier Boy, all teams do is disappoint you. You're not my team. You never supported me. But then Ashley and Deep both, A-Train just was quiet, but Ashley and Deep were both saying they would do whatever the Homelander wanted, and he told Deep, well, go kill the vice presidential candidate. So, because the Homelander, I guess, wants a soup in office, and he's getting it. So, I will say that this candidacy is supposed to be an element in season 4 and in the spin-off show.
I get the feeling that in season 4, Robert Singer, after he's president, is going to be killed somehow. That is Homelander's choosing. Not publicly, not knowingly being Homelander's responsibility, but ultimately he'll have him killed, and then
so that the vice president becomes the president, and then we have a soup as president, and and like I said, that's going to be an underlying theme in both The Boys 4 and The Boys Varsity, which is the new series that's coming out. So we're going to see elements of that going forward in both shows. So that's going to be really exciting. And I can't wait, really. The Boys is a great, different way to look at supers. And we're seeing all these shared universe things coming out, and more of them are trying to make shared universe kind of statements like the Marvel has successfully done in movies and DC has successfully done in television. So it's going to be interesting to see going forward with this much more irreverent, much more adult look at superhero culture. Because this is what will happen when you have the real human condition affecting superheroes, because humans as individuals can be very petty, greedy, self-centered, egotists, and that's what these guys mostly are. And that's what the Boys kind of represent, is all the bad parts of humanity given superpowers. Worse than supervillains is supervillains who pretend to be superheroes, and that's kind of what the 7 are. And it's Starlight is good to be out of that group. And we'll see what happens there. But we won't have any more The Boys until the next installment of The Boys enters, whether it's another season of Diabolica or season 4 or Varsity. I'm not sure which is coming out next in the timeline. I do believe it's season 1 of Varsity is the next, supposed to be the next offering. But they haven't said anything definite yet. They're still kind of in pre-production work on a lot of that. But like I said, Eric Kripke has already stated how much of a colossal effort it is trying to work a shared universe. And he just has nothing but mad respect for Kevin Feige for his ability to do that. And Kevin Feige, let's face it, he took over the reins of Marvel and he has done wonders. You got to tip your hat to that man.
Yeah.
He may not be
Marvel.
And speaking of Marvel,
to Miss Marvel.
First off, I do want to say, if you watched the Thor Love and Thunder from the beginning, they did have a tiny clip of Miss Marvel added into the Marvel logo. So she has actually reached the heights of being added into the logo, which is one of the big deals when you're joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is being added into that logo sequence. But she was officially added to the logo sequence, so that's great. Kamala Khan is a great character. It is actually the #1 viewed Disney Plus series right now. The highest rate, even though it's one of the lowest in the regular white male demographic, it is the highest rated, period, because all the other demographics came together and bumped it up. So it's doing great. Now, there is a couple of things that have come to light. Like, there's a few reviewers of Pakistani or Muslim background who were a little upset that her origin was changed to that of a jinn. But I think they're not taking it completely into consideration. They're not saying she's a jinn. That's the thing people are not getting. What they're saying is that the clandestines would be called jinn. Just like because there's a specific line in the show that said that if Thor had showed up in ancient India, he would have been called a jinn.
Yeah.
Or Captain Marvel had shown up in ancient India, she would have been called a jinn.
Yeah.
Being called a jinn is not the same as being a jinn. Jinn is what they call anybody that they don't completely understand with supernatural powers. So in that respect, it's very accurate to the Pakistani/Muslim ancient Indian culture. So it's very accurate. And so I don't see it as a disservice or a cultural appropriation in this case, because it's accurate to what they would have thought the clandestines were when they show up. Yes, they don't have the cosmic origin they had. They have an extra dimensional origin. That change I'm okay with. And I'm not of Pakistani or Muslim faith. And I know that the other ones that have expressed this were saying they didn't like it because the jinn were the stuff of nightmares. So they didn't like that kind of connotation. But really, the jinn are just like the demons in like Asian culture. Demons were both good and bad. Dragons are both good and bad. It's just they were different and they were supernatural and they were kind of like godlike. But they weren't all seen as good or all seen as bad. They were all seen as mischievous and capricious. But
anyway,
if you were in ancient Celtic culture, you might have been called a Tuatha De Danann or Fae or Silly or Sidhi or She, depending on how you want to pronounce it. She is actually the pronunciation, but it's spelled Sidhi and it's often called the Seelie Court. You would have been called that if you were Thor or whatever. But it's really just that culture's way of interpreting a supernatural coming into their midst. That doesn't mean she actually is a jinn. But anyway, I wanted to mention that because that is something that's going around now in the Miss Marvel thing. I personally love the look of their culture that we get to see in the show. And I love the music and everything. And we get to see early shots in the start of this episode, because when she was hit by that dagger and it hit the bauble at the end of the last episode, it basically transferred her to this train station, and that's where the end of the last episode. Well, they started this episode with a flashback to her great-grandmother, the Jinn, coming in and meeting her great-grandfather and going to live on his flower plantation basically, where he grew flowers and sold them to the public. And her raising up her grandmother until her sister shows up, which is the leader of the clandestines that we know from the current era, telling her, okay, we found you and now we're ready to take our plan and get back home. But she doesn't want to go back home. She's now laid down roots in our world with the early Pakistani, which is the Muslim side of the Indian culture that had broken apart from regular India under the rule of Europe in 1948, I think it was.
Close to there, at least.
I think it was 48. I think it was 48.
I can remember it was the 1940s. I can't remember exactly what year.
I'm almost I watched it today, but I didn't take down the date. But I'm almost positive it was 1948. And so we see her try to make a run for it with her family to try to get on the trains that are helping evacuate the Muslims from that part of India where they're being persecuted. And so they're in the train station area, and she gives her the bangle to her daughter. She puts it on her wrist, tells her it will keep her safe. And then she goes to kind of distract her sister, the leader of the clandestines, while her husband and daughter are trying to get on the train, and she tells him to make sure, no matter what he does, to get on the plane. I keep saying plane. Train. Keep the train with her. And he says, you know how you always said I was magical? Well, yes, I am magical. And she shows him how the bauble shines with its own power and stuff, and then sends him away. Then she goes and she confronts her sister. Her sister ends up stabbing her in the gut and going to go find the bauble. And then Kamala appears in the train station, and she ends up first going to her dying grandmother, who gives her the photograph of her and her husband and asks her to go take care of her daughter. And she sees it as confirmation that her daughter survived, because if one of her descendants is here, then obviously her daughter must have survived. And she sends Kamala to go help her daughter. First, she mistakes Kamala as her daughter grown up into a teenager. But she's like, I'm not her. I'm Naisha. And it's like, and Kamala goes and she finds Isha. And she sends Isha running towards a train on energy footprints that she has floating in the air until she gets knocked down. And the footprints break up into sparkles, and they're all there in front of the daughter's face. And she's like, ooh, pretty. And then dad comes and takes her into the train. And then Kamala shifts back to our time period, where she comes to on the floor of the Red Daggers hideout with the clandestines coming to around her. And the one African-American looking clandestine, the one with the darker skinned one, looks up and she sees a rip in space-time. And she says, it's like the veil, it's been pierced. We can go home. And so she rushes up to this tear in space and basically gets turned to stone and ash and then crumbles to dust. And so Kamala's like, no, you'll die. And so she tries to get everybody out of there. And she creates a crystalline barrier between them and the people in the rift to help block while everybody runs away. While the evil leader of the clandestines like, nope, I can do this. And Kamala's like, no, you'll just be leaving Cameron. And, you can't leave Cameron. I mean, my mother ever wanted was family, and you're that for Cameron. You don't want to leave him like that. She's like, I already left him, because she left him with damage control. And, but then she's like, no, that's it. That's what I can do. So she rushes up to the vent And just as the rent starts to affect her, she speaks Cameron's name and basically sends her power to Cameron. And so he gets the lumen, which is the light energy that the clandestines use. And so he's infused with lumen power, and he uses it to help finish his escape from the damage control. And he goes and meets up with Bruno at the Circle Q comic shop and convenience store that he runs. And Bruno takes him up to his flat above the store and is letting him stay there, he says, for the night. But then he also mentioned he was abandoned. Bruno's like, yeah, I don't have a lot of parenting either. And then he offers him some lasagna that I guess his mom made. So I guess his mom's still around. But they also start over and they reintroduce themselves. And then Cameron realizes that Bruno's name is Bruno, not Brian. He always thought it was Brian. And yeah, Bruno's like, don't worry about it. I didn't notice the first 4 or 5 times you said it.
Yeah, he didn't notice.
He just, and of course, because Bruno's worried about it the whole time, but because he kept mentioning it to Kamala that he didn't even get my name right. But Cameron was actually honestly upset that he had the name wrong. He thought it was Brian. So at least that's something. But then a drone shows up outside the window, and instinctively Cameron blasts it with the lumen power that he got from his mother's death. And that kind of pretty much ends that part of the episode. And we also see Kamala meet up with her mom and her grandmother, and her mother's like, "You're that light person," and is like, "Yeah." And Grandma's like, "I told you we were magic, Peter."
Yeah.
I've always told you we were magic. And so they take her home, and then we kind of end with Grandma showing pictures of Kamala's mother when she was Kamala's age, in like rocker, freaking punk rocker kind of dress as she went to follow Bon Jovi. Grandma had said she'd gone to follow Springfield. She says, "Don't send these lies into my daughter's mind. It was Bon Jovi."
Yeah.
Which likens back to the 2 episodes ago when the wedding, because the wedding entertainment was Brown Jovi, which was a Muslim Israeli cover band for Bon Jovi type songs.
Yeah.
Because so Brown Jovi and Bon Jovi was it's kind of an interplay in this, so it's an important side element to mention. They have great respect for the Bon Jovi, which is good because Bon Jovi's awesome. One thing Marvel has shown mad respect for lately is music, because they're getting some great tunes in the Marvel movies and TV shows. I mean, previously, we got really good soundtracks to Luke Cage in hip hop, if you liked hip hop. And I don't mean hard rap, but actual good hip hop. Luke Cage had a phenomenal soundtrack of hip hop. And we're starting to see even more great sounds out of Marvel and Kamala Khan, in addition to having some great Pakistani Israeli music in a lot of the intro title sequences, which is beautiful in my opinion. But they also give proper respect to things like Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
You gotta love that. And you will love it when you watch Love and Thunder and you see all the Guns N' Roses Mad Love. It's kind of like the Metallica love in Stranger Things. We're getting great respect for hair bands again, which is great because I'm a child of the 80s, so hair bands were my thing. Yeah, Miss Marvel is great. I can't wait, and I'm dreading in equal measure to see the finale tomorrow, because I don't want it to be over, because then we don't get anything until She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Now, She-Hulk Attorney at Law is supposed to have at least bare minimum one episode with Charlie Cox in it.
Good.
That is at least one. 1 to 2 episodes are going to have Charlie Cox. They don't say whether he suits up as Daredevil or not. He may not suit up as Daredevil until Echo. But we know that he is supposed to be in at least one episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. We don't know for sure if Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk will be in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, but it would make sense because it is a legal drama, and Wilson Fisk, being the kingpin of crime, would often have to go to court for things. And it makes perfect sense that Jennifer and Matt Murdock would travel in the same circles because they're both attorneys that defend supers. And that's going to be a big part of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And that's part of the whole redemption arc of Phase 4. In this case, She-Hulk Attorney at Law is Bruce mentoring his cousin, Jennifer, who is a She-Hulk. So, and She-Hulk is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. I really love that character. So I can't wait to see more of She-Hulk. And because it's an attorney of law kind of thing, it's going to be like, I think it's supposed to be like 9 or 12 episodes. It's not going to be just 6. Every episode could introduce a different Marvel villain or hero being either defended or persecuted in the courts, so we could get introduced. Yeah, because we know that we're getting at least what's the name? Amazonia. Titania. That's it. We know we're getting Titania at least, but we could get a few others in there. Who knows? Echo might even show up and do a cameo that we just don't know about yet. Peter Parker could show up, although since he's been erased as anybody but Spider-Man now, that's kind of iffy. But it could mean that they bring in a cameo of Jessica Jones, because it would make perfect sense. Jessica Jones follows in some of the same circles because she's a private investigator that works with attorneys in order to do these prosecutions. So Jessica Jones, it would make perfect sense for her to cameo. So who knows? We just do know that Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock and Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin of Crime, Wilson Fisk, are absolutely confirmed to be canon in the new Marvel Universe in some fashion. And Christy Ritter as Jessica Jones is supposed to show up in as possibly as early as Echo, but she could even show up in She-Hulk, and we just don't know it yet. I can't wait for that show to come out. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out from the Disney animation side of things. What If Season 2 is coming out. There's supposed to be a couple of other things that are coming out through the animation.
I gotta wrap it up. I haven't ate much today, so I'm getting a little lightheaded. So
and we went. I didn't even realize we'd gone over because we had so little media. I wasn't expecting it this time, but we do wax rather poetic when it comes to some of these shows. Let's go ahead and wrap it up for the week. We will catch you next week. Next week we will cover the finale of Ms. Marvel. We will do the spoiler episode of Love and Thunder, so come ready for spoilers next week. So get your chance to watch it this week if you can. What else dropped? I mean, Bob's Burgers dropped on HBO today.
The Bob's Burgers movie?
Yep, it dropped on HBO today.
Ooh,
so
I have to make that a weekend plan.
Bad Guys dropped recently on Peacock. I think it is.
I don't have that one.
I think it's on
Well,
Peacock.
Allie really wanted to watch that, and we didn't get to catch it in the theater, so I'm
I-
hoping it was going to be.
I think it's Peacock that has it. Yeah, it's either Peacock or Paramount that has it, but I think it's Peacock.
Yeah, I don't have either of those.
But anyway, we'll cover some of that, and we will come back with other topics involved with the Nerdosphere. So you'll get some more gaming stuff from Lurch. I'll try to talk about, at least another Kickstarter and another From the Vault recommendation for next week. Who knows what I'll pull out of my sleeve for next week. We'll see. I promise I won't do another bait and switch with Steel like I did this time. I just had to. But we got a lot going on, and we didn't even talk about Brian Bendis saying how he's released the third draft of his script for Legion of Superheroes, and it wasn't even mentioned if it was live action or animated anymore. So maybe we'll get a live action one. It might still be animated, but Brian Bendis is, of course, is one of the writers on the comic books. So with him being involved, it means it's going to be more comic book accurate, and something like Legion of Superheroes. It's nice to see that kind of continuity kind of thing. Even though they do take some liberties and make some changes, it's always nice to see those kind of things.
They do that within the comic books too. They take liberties within the comic books.
Well, and every time they refresh a universe, they make some changes. Different things and different powers have changed all the way through. Like in Days of Future Past, they changed Shadowcat to give her the power to go back in time.
Okay.
Like, Days of Futures Past, they gave Shadowcat
Yeah.
Rachel Summers' power to send people back in time.
I really need to wrap up, Doc.
Yep. It's easy to get on these tangents. Yeah. Okay, yep. May your rolls be epic, whether they're fumbles or successes. May your finishing moves be fatalities. And remember, it's up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, and start. Bye, everybody.
Bye.